Hey, everyone. Happy Friday. So, this is Dr. TK. Super excited. I know it takes a 15-second delay for YouTube and Facebook to let people know that I am live. And so, I'm going to give people just a few more seconds, but I am super excited for today's podcast episode. So, let's go ahead and get this show on the road. Also, make sure that you have your pen and paper ready just in case you get a download when I am talking today. So let's go ahead and get started. My name is Dr. TK. I am a licensed clinical psychologist and the #1 therapist business coach, also known as a therapist influencer. I am very excited to record this podcast episode today live, streaming on YouTube and on Facebook at the same time. And I just want to do a little contextual disclaimer. So I was actually writing my show notes about an hour ago, and something in my gut wasn't sitting well in terms of me going live. Not going live, but something wasn't sitting well in terms of me pre-recording it as an audio podcast, especially as I was going through my notes. And so I sat with it. I asked my higher power, like, what is this about? And what download I received is you really need to talk about this topic live. So today's topic is, how did investing $24,000 within 24 hours make me grow? But I'm going to add to that and also scale my business. Okay. Now, let me first talk about what growth means. Growth is a linear process. So, for example, in private practice, right? You may see yourself growing when you work more hours because then you can see more clients. Therefore, you can get more revenue in your business and therefore pay yourself, right? So that's great. And people are like, wow, my business is making a good amount of money. I'm growing, and congratulations. That's the whole purpose of DTA. And I see some people already are hopping on from the Dope Therapist Academy. So I want to say, hey, Shanika, if you are part of our community, or you have came to the Vegas Mastermind, or you come to the New York Mastermind, if you've been part of DTA, TSA, ECM, Old School DTT, the Dope Therapist Tribe, go ahead and put your acronym in the comment box. Hey, Angela. So this definitely was not scheduled, but I received the download to come on here today. So again, growth is a linear process. And the whole thing about growth is that you have to put in more hours in order to see the revenue. Now, on the flip side, okay, on the other side, we have scaling. Scaling is your money, kind of like a stock market picture. It will slowly, if it's good, it will keep going up in terms of your revenue. But what tends to happen is, as you scale your time, I'm going to say leverage your time, meaning you hire other team members to help you out so that you're not doing everything yourself. What will happen is you will find yourself hopefully releasing some of that micromanagement tendencies, and you will end up delegating task to a seat on your org chart or a person, and then they will take over some of the things or a lot of the things that you were doing that honestly are not CEO activities anyway, not generating a lot of business revenue anyway, and you will end up working less while earning more. So put a 1 in the comment box if you are watching live, because I'm also recording this for the podcast simultaneously, if that definition of growth versus scale makes sense. Grow is working more to earn more, and scale is working less and earning more at the same time. Now, you may be wondering, well, how do we do that? Well, the simple answer is you move your structure in your business to primarily doing one-to-one to one-to-many. So that may start with you having support groups or therapeutic groups, right? But then also you can branch out and you can sell books in bulk. You can do speaking engagements. You can do workshops. You can have a group practice. There are so many things. Nevertheless, what I'm not saying is that you should just roll out the bed tomorrow and get those things popping, right? Because there should be a structure. There should be standard operating procedures in your business. You should be able to grow your business first before trying to go up there and leap for scale, because you have to know what's working and what's not working. So I want to thank you all for participating in the little polling. So let's go into the topic at hand today. If you see me, just as a disclaimer, if you're watching live and you see me kind of looking to the side, I am looking at my notes because I do want to make sure that I cover everything that I wrote down, kind of like my journaling activity. So I want to take you all the way back to 2017. Some of you may have heard the story before, so I'm not going to spend time going over this story, but I'm just going to summarize it. In 2017, I had attended a live event in Los Angeles. And during that time, I knew that something was missing from my business, but I just didn't know what that was. But I knew that I wanted more help. So when I walked into this room, kind of felt the Holy Spirit take over my life. But as the keynote speaker started talking and teaching the room about all the things that were possible in terms of business growth and scalability as it related to our mindset and manifestation, I recognized that I wanted whatever she had. Right. And I think that all of us want a client like that. Some of you may have a client like that, where as soon as they talk to you, they already say like, oh my God, you God sent. Put it too in the comment box if somebody ever told you that. Like, I knew you would be a good match. I knew it. Right. And you like, okay, this is good. Right. So that's the vibe that I received when I walked into the room with my husband, a cousin, and one of my best friends. So needless to say, while I was in there, I had already knew I wanted to join a program. I just didn't know what the investment was, but to be honest, it didn't really matter. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't look at my finances, but when I say it really doesn't matter, I had already been exposed to mastermind programs that started off at 2,500 with no one-on-one, a room full of 500 people. You only see each other in person. There is no online component. All the way at that time, it was like $10,000. And I believe there was another level called Elite, but I never knew the price of that because honestly, my mindset was not prepared to think about investing like that. You have to go in gradual processes, right? Because you want to get a return on your investment. But at that point, I had been so exposed to 10,000, 10,000, 10,000 that I was like, well, I mean, if she say something around like that, or even like 12,000, I'm in that thing, right? And this was like an hour in of a full day event. So I had asked about her mastermind because the way that she described it, I was like, I want to be in a mastermind. I want to be in a room full of like-minded people. I don't want just an online course, but depending on what you offer, I'm going to see if it matches where I am. And if it does, I will make the investment. And that's what I would suggest that you do in terms of questioning, not talking yourself out of something, but actually questioning, where are you at right now? What do you need from your understanding? But also be aware that there are things that you don't know that you may be exposed to later. Okay. So I allowed her to download into me her message, plus her daughter also spoke. And then what ended up happening is she said that the mastermind was not open until like the end of the year. And I'm like, now, wait a minute. So this is March. Her mastermind doesn't start until September, which means that they only open up enrollment during the summer. Like they weren't even doing applications. And I'm like, oh my God. So then she announced a online self-paced program. And the way that she described the program, I also felt like a download in the moment where I was like, okay, this is exactly what I know I need. Like you get that intuition, right? It wasn't like I was operating off of an adrenaline rush, even though it was fun. But I really had a download that said, you need to have this mindset shift to get you to the next level before she offers that mastermind. So it was $1,000 investment. I had already made $1,000, $2,500 investment. So honestly, it wasn't nothing. And it actually felt better this go round because I didn't know exactly what she was offering. I had to ask those questions later before I paid. But the first mastermind that I joined, I just felt good in the room. It was different. It felt interesting and weird to the point where I was like, all of these things exist and I wasn't taught this in school. I need to go ahead and make this investment. But this time I was able to do like a full body and business scan about the things that I know that I'm missing off top. And it sounds like this is the program, at least to get me started. So I went ahead and made the $1,000 investment. The $1,000 investment would get me 2 comped tickets to the conference that she was having in July, in which she would talk about that mastermind, plus other things about marketing and branding. And then it was specifically a self-paced online program. So I always joke around with my clients, like, y'all are hella spoiled because therapists, I think by the nature of our work, we constantly want things one-on-one. But in the world or norm that we're in, a lot of coaches have moved to one-to-many. And some people may think, oh, it's because of monetary gain. Well, that may be a part of it, but for me, that is not the first thing that comes to mind. The first thing that comes to mind is that if I only am able to see a certain amount of people one-on-one, and you see this in your private practice, then what happens is you reach your capacity a lot faster, and the level of impact beyond money that you want to make is pretty impossible. Put a one in the comment box if that just resonated with you. Because if you have big goals to go, I'm going to say above $120,000 in your private practice, unless you charging people $200 and $300 and you seeing like 20 people and you get taking time off, you're going to reach a threshold and you're going to say, I don't understand. I'm charging like the max in my area. Why can't I break through? Well, if you do a basic mathematical equation with addition and multiplication, you will realize that $200 serving people one-to-one ain't gonna get you to $250,000. Like if you want to make 250,000, I don't see where that's gonna come from unless you working like 1,000 hours a month, right? So do the math. So nevertheless, I invested this money into this program and then I attended her conference. The conference definitely just shed light on me knowing where I wanted to be. And what really stood out, which is why I'm very happy that I attended that conference here, is because she actually had a therapist that had been like on the news, meaning she was a anchor or something like that on the news. I think she's from Texas, but she was also a model or something like that. And she had learned how to utilize her expertise as a therapist to launch a book, to have online programs, and to also do the one-to-many with working with corporations to have speaking engagements. Put a 2 in the comment box if that just sounds so cool. Like, oh my God, like, so now she doesn't see as many individual therapists. And I believe by the time that I met her after I joined the program, clearly the mastermind, she was barely doing any individual services. She was mainly focused on one-to-many. And when I had a chance to talk to her, I felt like her heart was where my heart is now, which is she was really focused on the impact that she can make specifically in the modeling pageant arena, because a lot of those individuals may suffer from lack of confidence, low self-esteem, prejudgment, and all those things that can flip into depression and anxiety, as we know it as therapists, right? So I thought that was pretty cool that she would also be okay with knowing that in one season of her life and her career, she was known as a great therapist. And then she's okay with closing the chapters to that door, still being a good therapist, but allowing her next chapter to start, which is serving one-to-many. So that's a hard pill to swallow for myself in the past, and also for therapists that I coach. And maybe even if you're on here and I don't coach you, which is potentially why you are quote unquote stuck. You may have a hard time letting go of the very thing that promoted you to go to school in the first place. You may have told yourself like, yo, I got to do this for the rest of my life. Who said that? Like, who wrote that on your tombstone? That's not true. Well, I got student loans that say so. Well, guess what? The capacity of how quickly you can pay off your student loans depends on how many one-on-one clients you can have. Now, that's a word, right? Y'all talk back to me. Let me know if this is hidden with some numbers or emojis or something, right? So let's go a little bit further. So I attended the conference, and I told myself during that summer conference, when I saw that therapist speak, because that's all it took. All it takes sometimes is one testimonial. I just want to hear from a real person beyond the coach. And when that young lady was talking about how she went to a mastermind, implemented what she learned, and that night she ended up getting a $30K contract with a corporation, like, who does that? But then after I joined the mastermind, I understood, because I was getting deals like that, or building my group practice like that, or getting speaking engagements like that from the fire that happens when you attend a live event and being connected with the right people, right? So I sat back with one of my friends and I was like, hey, that's going to be us on the stage next year. Bet. And it was. And I broke all that down in some past episodes, right? So some past podcast episodes. So needless to say, I said that I want whatever program she in. I need that. And that was that mastermind program. So before I got to the event, I had a consultation with somebody on her team. When I told them where I was, even though I knew that the next step was the mastermind, they actually said that the second level was the best fit for me. So in summary, the first level that she had was more about clarity. What is it that you want to do in your business? The second level was, now that you have clarity and or you already got a product out there, let's fine tune what you have and teach you some basic marketing, which is what I was missing from the previous program. But where I'm not going to say messed up, but where I got things twisted in my mind, and let me know if this is you, I assumed at that time that I was at the mastermind level because my money says so. Put a 1 in the comment box if that makes sense to you. Sometimes you think that you're ahead of the game until somebody looks at your messy ass back office, excuse my language, right? Sometimes you think that you're further ahead than maybe other people around you because you make 10K a month. Okay, great. Do you pay yourself through payroll? Do you have standard operating procedures? Do you have a tax person? Do you have a bookkeeper? Are you the only person on your whole org chart? Do you even have an org chart? These are basic things that we don't have in a private practice, right? And clearly, as I'm naming them out, you can go and try to create them. If you can do it on your own, cool. But will you get lost in the YouTube bubble because you're trying to figure it out on your own versus investing in yourself to get help with somebody who can expedite the process, and then you get the results that you were looking for in a shorter period of time? Okay. So needless to say, your girl was accepted into the 10K program, right? And I was like, I'm gonna take it because clearly they know what they're doing. So I took the 10K program, but I also knew that because of the way that I operate and I get into the course and then I do the work right away, I knew that within like 3 months, I would be prepared for the 24K program. And you're like, what? Yes, I already know how I operate. I am a teacher. I can consume information quite quickly. I can apply it. And then I can be like, boom, what's next? I'm seeing results. I need the next level. That's how I coach. I mean, I slow y'all down, but I'm just saying like, that is what I talk to my clients about in terms of, let me do what I do best. You just execute. That's what I need you to do. I need you to execute. Right. So after I made that investment so that I can grow, it made me really show up and do the work. So then after we declared that we would be on the stage, 6 months after we invested in the 10K program, we contacted her team and said, hey, yo, we want to secure our spot before we even go to the conference for the following year. Go ahead and sign me up for 24K. I made that transfer of money. I paid for it in full. Why? Because my business was doing good. Why? Because I implemented the things that I had learned from her plus the previous coach. Because that's the thing that you also want to remember is that some people's growth and scalability is based off of a compounding effect. Okay. And to me, the same way that we develop behavior over time, whether it's for the good or for the bad, is a compounding effect. Nobody just becomes that person overnight, even in a relationship. You know, it despises me when people that's dating or in a relationship say they ain't never been like this. They just became this person overnight. No, they always had that shadow. Now, did you do enough maybe investigation to poke and see if it's going to come out? I ain't saying do it on purpose, but usually the answer is no. Or did they show you red flags at the beginning of the dateship before you got engaged and got married? Yep. And did you choose to ignore it because you were in lust or love? Yep. Put a 2 in the comment box if you know that makes sense. Because I've been in a relationship like that, right? I saw all the red flags, but I was in love. So I kept it going. And that relationship is not here anymore, right? But when I sat back and looked back, I recognized these flags have been here the whole damn time. But I talked myself out of them. Okay. So as I showed up and then I end up going into the 24K program, let's talk about the aha moments during that time. So to me, when I look back, what allows me to invest in myself at a very high level is a simple fact that I said yes the first time. So sometimes the reason why, for example, the mastermind, some students are like, oh my God, I want to get in the mastermind. They want to skip DTA altogether. And I'm like, first of all, you got to apply. And if you don't meet these criteria, you can't even get in. Like, you can't even get an interview, right? So, because we have a interview process that happens during the 4th quarter, but you do have to fill out a form. And you can't skip the process, even if you did do DTA, because I have to make sure that you're going to hit the ground running and that I won't just be talking about what we talked about in DTA. That is not the purpose of the mastermind. The purpose of the mastermind is to scale your current business to go to the next level where you are working less, right? So, what ended up happening in that program is that because I simply transferred the money, that just made me feel on another level abundant, right? I walked different. I showed up different. I introduced myself in the public space different. Some of you put a 1 in the comment box if you have recognized this about yourself. When you started investing in yourself and you start showing up to our calls and you get wins, and people cheering you on in our community, DTA, you know what we're talking about, ECM, TSA, y'all know what I'm talking about. People are, even though they on mute, you see them like cheering or putting the emojis on Zoom. It feels good to know that you're in a like-minded space with people who not only want to see you win, but also they're willing to stop what they're doing to answer a question on Facebook, to pour into you more, to make you keep going. Where do they do that at? Right? So that is the mission that I had for our communities. But even the manifestation of that coming about would not have been possible to me if I wouldn't have made all the past investments that I've made, right? So I saw the results. Let me just be very clear. Let's get all the way candid. I saw the results of my 24K investment, first of all, because I put in the work. This was not a mastermind to me where I'm just going to show up and say, oh, yeah, I'm connected to this person. Now, some people can gloat around and do that. I'm sorry. I'm not putting $24,000 on the line just for me to say that I can have a one-on-one session with this person. You are out of your mind. And we only had one-on-one session for 2 hours online, right? Like the whole year. Okay. So, but I'm not going to use that to gloat. I mean, I'm good. That to me, that's not worth 24K just to say that I know you. Like that to me is about your ego. Like you need to go to therapy. Okay. So I also recognize that when I made the investment, there was no other option to BS myself. I was not going to sit back and not log into the portal and do the work. Right. So over time, well, immediately, honestly, I start seeing the results of what I was putting in, which is the laws of attraction. What you put in is what you get out. So I also, this is a good nugget for therapists. I also recognize that over time, I could not implement some of the things that I had learned because I still had a private practice and I was leveraging what I was doing in my private practice to add streams of income, if you follow. But during that time, I got stuck because they couldn't really teach me about implementing marketing from the ethical HIPAA, standards, okay, like APA standards. And so needless to say, I took what I could from the program. It just took me a little longer to convert certain information into the therapeutic space. Okay. So as we wrap up today, I just want to take it on home. And I'm going to apologize right now if you may feel a certain type of way based off of what I'm about to say. Bars, put bars in the comment box, right? And so this is the thing. I'm not saying that you need to invest 24K to get the outcome that you desire. But there are going to be programs that are even more than what you initially anticipated. Some of y'all just trying to do everything on the freebie zone. Freebie is only going to take you so far. Some of y'all give yourself a thermometer cap. And guess what? The same way that you give yourself an investment thermometer cap, I just made that up, don't use it, right? But the same way that y'all give yourself an investment thermometer cap is the same way that you're giving yourself a revenue income cap in terms of how much money can you truly make? Think about that. If you're going around saying, I'll never do this, this, and this, then what do you think is happening in the universe in terms of it giving you opportunities to make more money? Think about that. It's like a boomerang. Whatever you put out there comes back. And guess what? At one point in your career, you may say, nah, sis, they need to pay me $10,000 to stand on the stage, but you don't want to pay anything past $1,000 to invest in yourself, to be able to advertise yourself as the expert. Get up out of here. That doesn't even make sense because there's a large amount of things that you simply don't know beyond therapy. Okay. So if you've ever invested, this is the part where you may like it, you may not, and it's cool. I really don't give a damn. Like it needs to be said. Okay. So what courses or programs have you invested in that you still have access to? Just think about it. If you're in my program, clearly you got access to that unless it's a membership site, right? So you may say DTA or an email marketing course or an online course to teach me how to do a webinar, whatever it is. Do you still have access? So my next question, if your answer is, okay, I got a course in mind, right? Put a yes in the comment box if you can think about a course or a program that if you go find your password, you can actually log in. Just put a Y or a yes in the comment box, right? So Brittany says 3 or 4 of them things, right? So with that said, have you actually revisited the program? So before I make any other investment, I'm going to go and look at all of the portals that look similar in terms of content. And I'm going to make damn sure, especially if I didn't pay 24K for these programs, I'm going to make sure that what this program offers that looks good to me right now, it ain't something deep, deep buried in a portal under bonus resources that I have never opened up because after I got the 5-step framework, I said the bonuses aren't needed because my caseload is full. You don't know what the hell is in the bonuses. Some of those things that we had 2 years ago were directly correlated to what students were learning when they joined the mastermind. It wasn't all of it, but it was a sneak peek. So don't sleep on bonuses. Don't sleep on showing up to DTA coaches calls. Don't sleep on dope therapist community calls. Like, oh, I already saw Dr. Roche speak. Well, guess what? You clearly heard her speak last year, but I mean, does your bank account? This is the part that I like want y'all to hear. If you're saying that, I know that already. I got exposed to that already. Well, look, sis, if you're a woman, look, bro, right? Where does it show up in your bank account though? If you're saying that you know something or you like, I already paid for that. Well, are you implementing it? Does the results show up in your bank account? Does it show up in your lifestyle? Does it show up in your schedule? So don't tell me if you are a therapist, especially around private practice, I don't need DTA because I already started a practice. I make 10K. All right, well, are all those clients your ideal clients? Are you working your ideal schedule? Have you delegated tasks or do you feel like you working like a dog? Right? Let's be all the way real. Let's be all the way candid. And the reason why I'm getting so passionate about this is because I hear it way too much. But then I'm watching y'all on social media and I'm like, now I know for damn sure somebody who making 12K in their business and they're happy, it wouldn't look like they thirsty for clients. It wouldn't look like they just rolled out of bed and said, I'm going to do a webinar today, knowing damn well you don't even know all the steps to have a profitable webinar to then upsell somebody to a product. What the hell is your offer, right? So I can keep going on this little soapbox. But the bottom line is, to me, I'm going to invest in something in which I'm going to show up and do the work. Even if I feel like it's been a bad investment, I'm going to get as much as I can out of that investment. Same way we can do an online course. Some courses that I've joined, which are straight up online, partly self-paced, partly of it has live calls, at least in the beginning. I may get on a call and it's like 7,000 people. I'm exaggerating. Like one of the calls had 654 people. That was like traumatizing. I'm like, damn, right? But my thing was, one, I tried to ask my question and the chat box was going crazy. So my thing was, well, do I have the discipline to just get off this live? Because this is overwhelming. And do I have the discipline to just log into the portal myself? And the answer was yes, because that one program actually taught me how to launch DTA on another level, because I had taken classes before that set the tone. That class taught me how to launch a membership site, but then I had to invest to learn how to create a system for a membership site, right? So I can also hope that you see that your first investment will not be your last. And if you put a thermometer on, this is all I'm investing, sis, DTA is this amount, that's all I'm investing. Well, what's going to happen when you actually need to launch an online course and you may need to do a webinar and then you need to have an email marketing system set up? What you going to do? Sit on YouTube for like 5,000 hours? I mean, come on, let's be real, right? Yeah. So let me, oh, y'all getting it from me today, right? So let's see. Let me go over here. So we got Miss Brittany, facts. Where does it show up in your bank account, right? We got CC, we got Coffee Collab, right? She say, drop the mic, dropped it, right? We got Miss Brittany. I love this. She's our student too. And she'll be in New York. So I'll always invest in myself. My issue is finishing what I started. Exactly, right? But I will say too, in terms of alignment, it's kind of like reading a book. I'm not saying throw away your investment, but I've read books or I've purchased courses. And I get to a certain point that will help me implement what I need right now. Sometimes what I have learned is that I didn't really recognize all the things that the program would teach me. The mastermind is a good example. One of the disclaimers that I would tell the mastermind students last year, especially because they were helping me build the portal with me teaching live. And then over time, we'll get those portals like updated, but people can still see the progress of those clinicians, which is pretty fascinating. But the disclaimer that I gave them is, please note when you join this program, it's not just for the course, because clinicians are so focused on, I need to learn, even though they say they don't want to go back to school, right? But the reality of it is a mastermind is truly about being in the room with the right people to light some fire under you, to pour into you. And it's a reciprocity process. It is really not about teaching you anything. That is a bonus of my mastermind, which is called a hybrid program. So I want to make that clear, because even some students in my mastermind still don't get that. They like, well, I want to hear more from you. When you going to teach? That is not what a mastermind is. A mastermind is being in a room, hot seating all day. If we really want to give the real definition of a mastermind, yes, we'll have presentations, but it's really to reinforce what you already know or what you already have done, but you slacked off. Let's be all the way real, right? So in terms of alignment, I've invested in courses or read books, and then it took me to a certain point. But because I wasn't ready to receive that other information yet, I didn't say that, oh, I'm giving up on myself, I'm inconsistent. It was just like, no, once I do X, Y, and Z in my business, kind of like the mastermind students, and now I'm ready to launch a podcast. Now I'm ready to launch a membership site. Now I'm ready to launch an online course. Now I'm ready to do whatever it is in the portal, right? Because they got like multiple sections. Now they can, guess what? Go back to their investment and they can actually take action. Does that make sense? Right? So she said, so I'm more motivated now to get what I can in my investments before adding more. And that is a lovely thing. I actually just had that conversation with a few people today from us meeting with them in Vegas, because I was letting them know just an overview of what is DTA and or what is the mastermind, because some of them never joined any of my programs. They just saw the opportunity to come live and they fit the criteria, so they came. But the type of coach that I am, and because I use therapeutic skills, I assess the situation. And one of the things that I assessed with this particular group is that I wanted them to have a 90-day, I'm going to call it a reflection period, not a rest period, but a 90-day reflection and implementation period where initially I was telling them what the next step would be. And I hope that y'all that's listening to me, some of y'all have heard this from me already, but those of you who have not, I know that you would respect me more as a coach, because there's not a lot of coaches who do this. Most coaches would be like, I got this program, do you want to get in it or not? Right? They're looking for revenue. I don't want revenue that's going to regret me later. Oh, that's a word. Put a 1 in the comment box if you feel that. I swear that was not written down. Okay. I don't want your revenue if you're going to regret me later. Okay. So with that said, whether it be DTA or the mastermind or anything else that I offer, I need you. My tagline is, you need to be able to get ready to hit the ground running. So if you know that you won't even let us come in and push you to maybe start running, because that might be your case, don't join my program. If you want to join just to lurk, don't join my program. If you want to come to a live event and not take fast action after, even on one thing, or even just recognizing that you had a mindset shift, and maybe just that you need to connect with the people that were there, because you may need a while to actually be able to invest, that's cool. So what I end up talking to these 5 clinicians about, those who got on my calendar, is I gave them a course of action. And most of their course of actions were, I need you to go back through all that stuff we just went over in the last 48 hours last week. And I need you to implement these. Because from what you said in your goals, if I put you in this program, meaning if I accept you into this program, because it was also like an interview for the program, another program that I haven't talked about in the public eye, because it's only available for those who have went to the live events, right? I didn't feel like they were ready. So I'm not going to send you an invoice. That don't even make sense, because all what's going to happen is, because you operating off of adrenaline rush and excitement, you're going to join it because you maybe want to be connected to other people in it and me and the information and execution with what's expected. But at the end of the day, it's not going to serve you if you ain't even finished plan A. Does that make sense? So I need y'all to really do a thorough assessment of your business every 90 days and then ask yourself, what is the next step that I want to take in my business and or my mindset or my money, whatever it is? And then, do I know of anybody who can teach me that? If it's me, cool. If it's not, find somebody. But don't not invest in yourself also because I don't offer it. Some of y'all may be at the point where you don't need a therapist coach. You need something else, all right? But I'll let you know if I offer it or not, all right? So I really hope that you've enjoyed this live podcast episode. We've talked about how I chose to invest in myself, but that there was a ladder that I climbed over time. But what I really hope that you also heard is that what made me successful is that I was able to take action on what my investments were and still are, right? So do you need to develop and or revamp a profitable private practice? If you're new to me, I want to say welcome. All you have to do is go to drtk.com/links, right? And when you do that, you'll be able to see everything that I offer, everything that's coming up. It can be some freebie stuff, but also if you want to show up to the next boot camp, then just go to drtk.com/links and you'll see the Prosperous Private Practice 1-day boot camp that's going to be happening in May. And then once you go to the page, it'll give you options. Do you want to do the gold, the platinum level, and or do you, when you go to the checkout page, do you want to add CEs? Okay. So the difference, because somebody had texted me and asked me, what is the difference between gold and platinum, and do you get one-on-one? The answer is no. It is a Zoom call in which I can see you, you can see me. It is an intimate group of therapists right now. Like last time we had 8 to 10 people who showed up, but more people had signed up and they can watch the replay. And if you do gold, we're going to do an assessment of your business. We're going to help you understand money being left on the table in terms of wealth thermometer. And then we're also going to talk about the mindset that it takes in order to become the business owner that you were destined to become, right? Or designed to become. But then the platinum level will actually give you certain things that DTA students have as a resource bonus, which are extra videos in a Kajabi online portal, so that you can see how I teach even in the portal. But it's going to give you marketing tips, tax tips, and like a whole, like 5 different like checklists, but with videos to explain how you can implement those things in your private practice. And if you want to learn more about DTA, then you can, talk to me after you come to the boot camp. Now, let's just say you're a person where you already did the boot camp and you've just been waiting for some reason, like from last year, to join Dope Therapist Academy. All you simply have to do is text me. So I'm going to put my text number on the screen. All you have to do is text. You can text the word abundance to the phone number, because what's going to happen is you're going to get business and mindset affirmations. But just text me and say, I got questions about Dope Therapist Academy. But then you need to actually ask me your questions. So if you ask me your questions right away and be very specific about your questions, I can just either text you back or leave you a voice message back. All right. But that is an option only for those who have already attended a boot camp. They know or knew that they wanted to join the academy, but maybe it wasn't the right time. And that is definitely understandable considering the times that we're in. All right. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how did you all like the live workshop today for a podcast on a scale of 1 to 10, right? And let me put some stuff on the. So Brittany says, I don't want your revenue if you are always going to regret me later. Listen, that should be what y'all be saying in your private practice. Okay. Okay. So, and then Catrice, thank you. I needed this reminder as to why I made the investment into myself. Exactly. All right. So I've really enjoyed your time today. Make sure that you get on that business affirmation list at minimum if you're not already on it. We will be releasing some very, very big news that is unrelated to DTA. So I'm not releasing any of the same thing. Okay. But it's something epic and super big. My community knows about it, but I haven't told anybody outside of our little bubble. But I will be releasing it to the public by the end of next week, right before the spring break, at least for Southern California. So I am super excited. Oh, it's been on my vision board for a long time. But for those of you in DTA, I'll see you on Monday, bars, right? If you in TSA, I'll see you on Tuesday, right? And if you in ECM, I'll see you in 2 weeks for your, your mastermind calls. All right. So you all have a great weekend and get some rest, therapists. Bye.